everybody. Welcome to the CODEX Station review time where we're reviewing the X-Men cartoon this day. And today we're reviewing episode number 4, which is Motendo and Life Death. But we're not really going to review Life Death. We're going to mention it, but we'll talk about that later. I'm your host today, Sal the Slab Guy, and joining with me right over there is Sonny Kruger, the host of the podcast himself. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Very excited to get back to reviewing X-Men 97 with you. As you see, I
Yes.
got even a shirt
Oh,
all pumped
nice.
up and ready to go.
I've got to get a shirt now. My goodness.
Oh yeah. Yes,
All
there's
right.
plenty of them
So,
out there. So you got your
yeah, I got my.
picks. Dude.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. All right. So, we're going to talk about Motendo and a little bit about Life Death. And we're going to go ahead and give it a review, our review and our thoughts. And then, of course, give it a rating at the end. I don't think we need to do a big, in depth rating like we did last time. I think one rating at the end will work just fine. So, let's get your initial thoughts on episode number 4.
Okay, Motendo. So like we were saying, it's Motendo slash Life Death Part 1, but we'll get onto Life Death another time when we can do all the Life Death parts
Agreed.
together.
Agreed.
So I'd say 2/3 of the episode was Motendo, where
Yeah.
It is Jubilee's birthday, and Jubilee and Sunspot they get caught into this game,
Mm-hmm.
Motendo, owned by Mojo, and so I have to say I enjoyed it. It seemed a little bit shorter because these other ones were half an hour, and then this one, this part was like about 20 minutes because then they went to life death.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Mm-hmm.
the Motendo episode, I felt it was more of a fun episode. All the others seemed to be kind of like events, right? Like, oh, here we go, we're starting, and then it
Yeah.
was the mutant liberation begins, and then the last episode, episode 3, seemed like they were trying to fit Inferno into it, whereas this seems like more of
I
a
called that one
relaxed.
too. If you remember in our last
Yes.
review, I was like hoping they'd do an Inferno, but they kind of didn't. But they alluded to it. You
So we
know.
got almost like previews of what could be,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of nice homages to Inferno. But yeah, so you did say that, and I
Yep.
had said Life Death, and
Yep.
so we got some
Boom.
good calls here. Yeah,
Yep.
but Motendo was an episode when a lot of the titles were mentioned. Motendo grabbed a lot of people's attention, like mine, I know, because it was like wait, Motendo and Mojo. So we see that
Mm-hmm.
Mojo is a bit different, a bit, a change of voice actor. So it took a little bit of getting used to for me.
Right.
Mojo definitely has a new look,
Well.
but
Yeah.
I can
Mm-hmm.
kind of see why. It kind of makes sense because
Right.
Mojo is like in film in the industry, and well, is Mojo even said, "Oh, I got a little nip and tuck."
Yeah.
But yeah, this one really focused on Jubilee and Sunspot, and it's more of
Mm-hmm.
a fun episode. You know,
I
they're
will. Yep.
they're in
I
the
agree with you.
game, and the cool thing I loved that it really looked like an arcade game.
Right. I was going
Yeah,
to mention that too. Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Oh, but I was just saying, like I thought it was really cool and really different, like original. How many shows do we see them really looking like they're in an arcade? So for me, it's more of a fun one,
Right.
and but there is a message. I mean, I'll let you do a little bit talking here, some of your thoughts, and then I'll talk more about the message I believe that the episode was sending out there.
Okay, very good. Well, I kind of agree with you. This was a fun episode. There was no high intensity feelings. There was no real drama to it. I like how she pokes fun at Magneto in the beginning, saying, that Jubilee would be much safer if she would practice more in the danger room, that type of thing. And so she's upset that she can't really go celebrate her birthday. That's just the way she wants to do, and that's by reliving the old days and going back to the arcade and playing some games. And well, then they get trapped in the Motendo world, and like you said, Mojo is looking a little peaked, but they give a good explanation for how he's looking now, and actually how he kind of reverts back to his form as he's feeding off the energy from the game and the ratings, you should say.
Yeah, the
And
ratings.
so what I like is how they would switch back to the 8-bit feeling, the 8-bit arcade feeling, and they would see like the blocks and stuff blow up, and and if you played the X-Men video game in the arcade where they were just moving left and right and they're beating up Sentinels or they're beating up, Sauron's lackeys, you might say. That's exactly right from the game, and that was pretty fun. I like that part.
Yeah,
Um, and then towards the end, do you want me to go ahead and say towards the end what's happening with that, and then let you take the point?
sure.
All right,
Go
very
ahead.
good. So, all right, so towards the end, she realizes, from a little help from a digital version of herself, that says, she's like, because the digital version was there because Mojo needed uh, practice characters, beta testers, as they would call them, and she kept using a copy of Jubilee and Sunspot over and over again to run simulated game tests. And this version had actually found a way to hack herself away out of that game and get into, like, let's say, the back door to his system and kind of sit there and wait it out and figure out how to beat him. So she kind of learns from her digital self about, the past is fine and all, but it's time to be more mature and move on and discover other things. And, she also learns a little bit more about her power set and how she could do different things with her power set, thanks to this digital version. So why don't you go ahead and give us your thoughts on the message at the end that it was saying?
Yeah, I thought that the message was, for as fun as an episode as this was, I feel that the message was, it's fine. It's nice. Sometimes it's safe to live in the past and constantly thinking about old memories, but you can't live there forever. It does get
Right.
old. You need to go on, and you need to face the future. And yes, there are no cheat codes for life, and
Yeah,
you need
right.
to, take a chance, get out there and live. And also, it's important to have friends and loved ones. So,
Hmm.
for as fun as an episode was, I did like that message a lot about you got to get out there and you got to live your life. You can't live in the past forever.
Hmm.
So, I enjoyed that, and
Yep, I agree with you.
there's a
I think
nice,
that's yep.
nice
I agree with
message.
you. Yeah, it's a nice message, and I agree with you 100% on how it was portrayed and spilled out to you. So yes, I agree.
Yeah, and this one definitely gave more of a spotlight. I mean, the one thing I was like, oh, sometimes I miss the other characters. More like see more Wolverine, Gambit,
Hmm.
but this one really focused on Jubilee and Sunspot. But yeah, for me, and then at least it was good to see Mojo. But I was like, we got to see Spiral. Glad to see
Got to see
Spiral.
Spiral. Yep.
But when I see Mojo, I usually like to see Longshot as well. So we didn't get to see Longshot. Maybe
I
another
was hoping we
time.
see Longshot in that because in the opening credit scene where she's shown fighting Mojo, who's right next to her, it is Longshot. So
Yeah,
when that started up, I'm like, ooh, we might get to see a little bit of Longshot today. But unfortunately not, but that doesn't mean it's out of the realm in the future, you know?
yeah, because there's still potential to do more Mojo episodes. Yeah,
Most definitely. Most definitely. All
yes,
right, let's go ahead and just touch a little bit on the last part, which is life death, which we will cover in full in another episode. But it involves Storm and Forge and how they're getting along and how they're trying to, or how Storm's adapting to being powerless. That's all I'm going to say about that. Unless Sonny, you want to add a little bit more on that?
yeah. So it is from the life death story, and
Hmm.
I think it's a good thing how they're like I said. We'll touch on it more when we go over the whole life death
Yep.
story arc
Yep.
when it's complete. But
Right.
I see the point in why they're doing life death in parts as opposed to a full episode because it is a more slower. I believe it was Dan last time who said it's more of a story or character driven story, not so much in the action packed. So it makes sense that they would do it in parts.
Right. And I don't know if we have the name of the next episode that's coming out. Actually, when this is already out, there already is another episode out, which is the um, Remember It episode, and that does not have Life Death in it. So for us to review Life Death, we're actually going to get the final two parts maybe and see and give a review of it then. So for today, we're just going to stick with Mojo or Motendo.
Yeah. And one thing, before we get on to our ratings, unless there's anything else you'd like to mention, I did like that when Jubilee saw the video game, it looked almost kind of either like Sega Genesis or Nintendo, and it looked like the old X-Men game, like a mixture of two X-Men games. The one from
Hmm.
Sega Genesis where Wolverine's on the
Right.
cover, and then the other game where you see Apocalypse in the background. So I really liked seeing that. That was a pretty cool little thing to see, little thing to
Right.
catch.
Yep, and the bad guy in the version of the games was always Magneto.
Yeah, so
Remember?
it makes sense that they versed Magneto in the episode. Uh, Real quick, in the Sega Genesis game, the X-Men Sega Genesis game, the Mojo level was ridiculous. And
Hmm.
later on, I found out that you had to like take the cartridge out and put it back in to like go further in the episode, or,
Really?
further in
I
the level.
yeah.
Yeah, how was I supposed to, as a little kid in the '90s? How was I supposed to know? Yeah,
You got
did
to
find
read
it out
the,
till
the Power Up magazine or whatever that was at the time that was coming out. That's
yeah.
all we had.
Yeah, I was so young, I didn't do much reading back then. I was so
Yeah.
young, I was when that game came out. But yeah, so
Yep.
Jubilee and Sunspot didn't have to deal with that Mojo level, but they did
Mhm.
get Jubilee, future video game Jubilee, and Sunspot did eventually have a battle with
Mhm.
Mojo as the final boss.
So my question to you would be, why was the digital version of Jubilee aged?
Because that's I wonder, like, maybe because she was playing so much, did it age her that fast? Yeah, because you would think she was there for, oh, this is a Jubilee from the future many years,
Mhm.
but
Right.
Mojo obviously hasn't been around like that long for Jubilee to age that much. I'm
Right.
guessing just playing through the levels, maybe time works different in video game world. And
With in the
yeah,
Mojo universe.
yeah, Mojo Universe,
Okay, I'll give you
Motendo.
that.
Yeah, that'd be
I
my
saw
guess.
that. I was thinking that I'm like, well, she's digital. She shouldn't age, should she? Oh, it's the Mojo universe. We're not gonna think too long on that one.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
just
This is the fun episode. We'll, put more of the thoughts into the other ones. Yeah.
yes, it was definitely the fun episode. So yep, let's not go ahead and think too deep on that. All right, rating time. Go
Okay.
ahead, Sonny. You may go first.
Okay, with Motendo, this, like I said, more of a fun episode, more like 20-minute, reminded me more of some of the older episodes because, the original X-Men animated series, they were all about 22 minutes. And now with X-Men 97, they're all around 30 minutes. They get like 3 minutes of credits. Whereas Motendo feels to me more like an older episode. And I think with X-Men 97, I think this episode's going to get kind of overlooked because each one is feeling like an event. Like, wow, this is a
Hmm.
big event. Whereas this just feels like an episode. It doesn't mean it's bad because X-Men, right before I started watching X-Men 97, I made sure to watch the whole original animated series once again, which
I
I
did
love
that
to do.
too. I did
So
that.
I made sure to do that. And not every episode in there was a huge event, was this, oh my gosh, episode.
Right.
So that's what I think, unfortunately, this one's going to get a bit overlooked by a lot of people. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was so cool and original with the arcade feel to it.
Hmm.
And I think every now and then we just need a nice little fun episode. I think my rating is going to be higher than a lot of people. I'm a huge X-Men fan. I thought
Of
it was
course you are.
fun. And I give X-Men 97's episode of Motendo 9 out of 10.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
And how
So I
about you,
kind of
Slab Guy?
I am gonna go a little bit lower. I agree with you on the points. It's all fun. It's a very fun episode. There's not much drama to it. It's not intense. It's definitely one of those the shows that's going to be kind of overlooked. It felt like a filler episode to me. So where they didn't have like something to progress to the next story. I'm one of those guys that likes to see something that's going to hint it to the next story. Much like Life Death Part One because it hints to another one type of situation. With this one, it's a clean cut open and shut case. It's like a one shot.
Yeah.
So I am actually going to give this one an 8 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, out of 10. So still is good. Like, you still say it's very good. I still say it's
Yeah.
very good. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yes.
Motendo.
Motendo. All right. From me, it gets
9
an
for
8.
me.
From Sonny
Yeah.
Kruger, gets a 9. And I think we're good to go then.
Yes.
Folks, we are be reviewing today the X-Men 97 episode of Remember It. Spoils alert. If you've not, spoiler alert. If you've not seen it, yeesh. Okay. There's going to be a ton of spoilers in this. Go see it first, then come back and watch this review because it's that intense. All right, go ahead. I had to give
Uh,
the people a warning.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely need that warning. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how anybody hasn't seen the spoilers yet if they haven't, but
I know.
episode 5, remember it.
Hmm.
It's definitely one to remember. So many huge events,
Oh my
so
gosh.
many things going on, so many cameos. Should we start? Where do we start? Do we start with the cameos? Do we see, Glob and Dazzler? We see Exodus. We see
Hmm.
Archangel, and then there were
Yep.
other characters who did get speaking parts: Sebastian Shaw, Emma Frost,
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Yes, we got to see
Hmm.
Nightcrawler come back. We got
Right.
to see, yeah, Banshee, Myra McTaggart.
Yep.
So many things. Even a cameo. I didn't notice until the second time I watched it, but before the big event at the Hellfire Gala, I guess it was they didn't say the Hellfire Gala, but that's what it looked like.
That's what it felt
You
like to
could
me. Yep.
even see a bit of an outline of the Watcher
Yes.
watching
And
over.
that
So
comes at the 20-minute and 40-second mark, ladies and gentlemen. I went back and stopped it, freeze framed it. So at the
nice.
20-minute, 40-second mark, just as Gambit's walking away from Rogue, you see the stars, and just before the fireworks start, you'll see that outline on the left side of the Watcher.
You know when the Watcher's there, it's gonna be a huge event.
Yep, yep.
Like I said, I didn't notice it the first time I watched it. I didn't
I
know I
didn't
only
either.
noticed it till the next time.
Yep,
Maybe I would
yep.
have maybe I would have prepared myself a little more because it seems more of like a character driven episode. Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit, they're going to Genosha, and
Hmm.
they're about to make Magneto the what they say
Chancellor.
the Chancellor, yeah.
The Chancellor.
And then at the same time, Trish Tilby, who was in the comic books,
Hmm.
she's doing a special, a documentary on the X-Men at the house, talking with
Hmm.
Jean. Well, she actually wasn't talking to Jean. Jean got away, and
Yeah, he
Wolverine
was
talked to
the whole
Jean.
thing.
Yeah, so she was mainly
Yeah,
talking to Cyclops and Beast, and
Jubilee.
Jubilee. Yes, Jubilee. I make sure she made it seem a bit, fun, talking about, oh yeah, and we also deal with killer robots and things and
Yeah.
that, and
Mhm.
it's fun, like a regular school. Oh man,
Yep.
should I get onto Wolverine and Jean first? The
Let's
Gambit,
let's
Magneto,
do,
and Rogue.
let's go. Let me give it a little bit more overview of what the story is happening, okay? Because what's overall happening here is Genos has been accepted by the United Nations as a sovereign state, okay? Then the X Men, like you said, Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit are flying out there, and of course you see the city and you see the statues of Magneto and Professor X, and it's like a mutant utopia, that type of thing. It's all what they always talked about, and back home, like you said, the X Men are being interviewed. I'm not sure if it's like a live interview, or is it like a pre-recorded one? Because Scott actually loses
Yeah,
his collective shit on that one. Sorry, I'm still apologize for that one, but he just loses it in front of like Tris Tilby,
hey,
and of
could you
course
lose
Tris
those
Tilby won't.
glasses? I can't.
Yep, I can't do those glasses. And of course we see Trish flirting with Beast a little bit, and he blushes. You know,
Blue can blush too. Yeah.
Blue can blush too. So that's what's happening in this episode. So let's just go ahead and kind of break that out in two separate areas. Let's start with the interviews first because that's kind of easier, and then we'll go into the a whole other thing
Oh, yeah.
first. So you want to start with that, or you want me to start?
Uh, you know, Take it away.
All right. So just the interviews now. This is Tris Tilby at the X Mansion. She's interviewing Cyclops, Beast, Jubilee about the X Men life. She's trying to show the world that X Men are people too, and she's asking all sorts of questions. Nothing really too major until she's talking to Scott, and she's like, "You just, and on to your next adventure, fatherhood." And he's like, because he doesn't know what to say because Madeline has left the mansion, and they put their son with Bishop to take to the future to be healed because he had the techno organic virus infected with him. So just like in the comic book, they sent him to the future to be taken care of, and he's just like, uh, we don't. Gene and I don't have any kids, so he's trying to like word it in a way that it's true that he's not lying, but because in she's like trying to, then she starts pushing him. She's like, oh, we've got the records right here, you and Jean Grey, this is a kid's name, blah blah blah, and all this other stuff. And that's when he just kind of loses it with her, and he's like, why do I have to prove to you people that I'm a person, and all this other stuff. And he just goes on, and he's like, I can't believe I got to prove myself because all this crap that you all people do to us, and blah blah blah. And you know that doctor called my son a freak and all this other stuff. So I mean, I would say normal parenting type of thing when your son's being called that. But anyhow, he just loses it in front of her and has to like walk away because he's just enraged with so much rage with him. He can't stand himself. So um, that was pretty much it for the interview parts. There's more to that a little bit at the end after the event, and I'll let you, Sunny, now go ahead and talk about that if you want.
Okay, I was gonna shift over to when Jean wasn't being questioned, and
Okay, do that. Do
Wolverine
that
goes
part.
up
Yep.
to her. Yeah, and Wolverine, is talking about, oh, so you're avoiding the questions too, and she's trying to figure out what's going on in her life, trying to figure out what memories are hers, what are Madeline's memories,
Right.
and we see, me, Wolverine. I think many fans got a shocker when Jean kissed Wolverine.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
just surprised too that he walked away. He said, "Oh,
He was
it's
like, he's,
Eugene
he's like,
Gray. He's Scott Summers. It's how it's meant to be."
that's,
Yeah, I
that's
was a
the
little
deal, Red.
surprised.
You just
Oh,
forgot.
yeah,
Yep.
I was a little surprised. I thought Wolverine would have been more than fine going forward with it, but hey, he's trying to be a good man.
Yep. Yep.
He's But yeah, so we got that going on. We also had Jean getting mad at Cyclops because she found out that he has a psychic rapport also with Madeline.
Hmm.
So they too have an argument. But we'll go over to Madeline in Genosha because, like I said, Magneto, Gambit, and Rogue are going over there, and yeah, Madeline is somebody, she got a lot of power over there now. So Madeline has a lot of decisions to make. Madeline, I said Sebastian Shaw, Emma Frost, Banshee, Myra McTaggart, Callisto, also from the
Yes.
Morlocks. Yeah, so everyone's deciding, and they like I said and Valerie Cooper is there, of course, and that's when it's decided that Magneto should be the Chancellor, but he wants one thing, and he says, yeah, for him to have Rogue by his side, and that it makes sense. So Rogue has a lot of decisions to make. She's very confused, and she does talk to Gambit and tells of the history between her and Magneto.
Hmm.
And two, that X-Men issue, Uncanny X-Men 274 is probably going to skyrocket up in price because of
Yep.
especially if you just see the cover, you kind of know, like you see Rogue, she's in the outfit that she was in when they keep showing, like, oh, back when her and Magneto had a romance. Yeah,
Hmm.
so be on the lookout for X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 274.
Or
But yeah,
yep.
so Rogue pretty much breaks Gambit's heart. My poor boy, Remy LeBeau, he took quite a beating this episode. He's been, poor Gambit. So
Yeah.
even Gambit is sad, and Rogue is sad too, because, Gambit wants to be with
They
Rogue, but they can't
really be
touch.
together, right?
Yeah.
And she's like trying to explain to them that reason why she's doing it is because she can't feel that. She can't do that touch, and she needs that more. And he's like, "There's more things than just to touch. It's more than
Yeah.
just skin deep. And but he was a stand up guy about it. He's like, so that, all right, you could do this. Till then we're just friends.
Yeah, we'll still be friends. I like what Nightcrawler said earlier in the episode to Gambit too. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like I could see it in between. It's not always about touching. Love is about forgiveness, where you're willing to
Hmm.
forgive, and then we get the Hellfire Gala, and
Yep.
we're seeing the dancing, and we see Magneto and Rogue get close, and we even see Gambit and Madeline had talked for like a quick second, and for a second my mind was going like, wait, what if they do an Inferno, and because Inferno, Madeline, she got Havoc close with her. Obviously,
Right.
Havoc's not as big in this series. Like, what if she got Gambit because he's sad about Rogue? I
Right.
was completely wrong.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
man, yeah.
Yep.
'Cause suddenly Madeline, she gets the nosebleed. She goes outside, and then who do we see? We see Cable. I was almost like, oh my gosh. Keep in
Yep.
mind, I watched it at 3 a.m. So I was
Yep.
almost screaming when I saw Cable. And then, him and Madeline, they see each other. She realizes that it's him, that's her son.
Yeah.
And he's going, I'm sorry. And then he is brought back to his time, time slide. And
Hmm.
then we have the huge attack on Genosha. And oh man, I don't know if we should should we go through all of the heartbreak? Oh man, the
We have
deaths,
to. Well, we
the
don't. We don't have to go through all the deaths, but what happens is that
massacre. Yeah.
Gambit calls it a Godzilla Sentinel. It's basically it looks like a beetle with three Sentinels heads on it, and it's got
Oof.
the like the mechanical arms as well, and
Insanely
the heads
powerful.
spin, and they're detecting Omega level mutants to eliminate, but they're eliminating a lot. So a lot of people are biting the big one on this one. I think Callisto bought it. I think Sebastian Shaw looked like he was dead. Um, there was
S- Yeah,
a lot of people on gurneys.
Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost were like out, but
Yeah,
Callisto, they specifically show Callisto like lose life in her eyes. So I don't
yeah,
know about Sebastian Shaw
like
and
the
Emma,
pupil
but they could
dilation.
be.
Well, they could be. They're alluding to
I
that,
hope
but I mean,
not.
maybe they're not. But who knows what they're going to do? But they're alluding to that, and yep, and then a lot of the Morlocks are still trapped underneath. So the Sentinel attacks. Everybody's disoriented at first, and Nightcrawler actually teleports Magneto and Rogue out of the path of a beam to the place they call the Garden. I think that's where they were regrouping all the mutants to escape. And in that one attack or that one teleport, kind of like knocks Nightcrawler out. Rogue rushes over to him to see if he's okay, but then realizes she's completely bare. She cannot touch him whatsoever. So that's where we see Gambit enter in and check him out. And Nightcrawler is fine. He's just knocked out. There was a pulse on him, so
Yeah,
he's going to be fine.
yeah, I was
Like,
gonna.
oh gosh, okay. Like, oh my gosh, I hope they don't kill him too. But now, so now Magneto now steps up as a like field commander. He's like, I'll draw the fire away from the garden. Rogue, you clear a path for Gambit. Gambit, go and get the Morlocks. Save as many as you can. And I'm like, wow, all right, Magneto talking to, doing the thing. Let's do it. Let's get out there. Let's fight. I'm like, all right, we're gonna see this. And so Magneto starts the battle with Sentinel, and it's really blasting him all over the place. And he's protected by his magnetic field for right now. But in one of the events, he is blasted through a building and into the statue of Charles Xavier. The statue is like as tall as a building. It actually falls on a group of mutants over there as well, alluding to their deaths as well. So this kind of triggers Magneto's memories. He's thinking about all the past that he's gone through, all the past trauma he's gone through, and he then grabs the monorail train and just starts whipping the crap out of the Sentinel, and it's fighting back. It's not really taking much damage from that, but it is, he is doing his best to destroy it. And um, at one point, then Rogue and Gambit have now successfully gotten the Morlocks out, and they are trying to evacuate them to the garden. And this is when the Sentinel blasts Magneto right to that spot right there. And now this it starts alluding to a bigger fight right here. Now, what's happening here now is the the Godzilla Sentinel is actually targeting Magneto with every force he's got. So a lot of the Morlocks around him, including Leech, and he's trying to shield himself, and the Sentinel is blasting him. He's holding his shield for right then, and Rogue is trying to get in there to save him, and Gambit stops her because she'll get killed if she tries to interfere at that point. And at that point, the Sentinel like releases another power blast, and alluding to wiping out Magneto and those mutants right there. And
And
just
even before, even
before,
remember, Magneto even used some of his powers to
yeah,
wrap Rogue and
oh,
Gambit
that's true.
around,
He
save
he
them.
tried to
Yeah,
be up. Yeah, he encased them in a like a dome of metal to save them as well. And yep, and just before the blast happens, he actually says to Leech in German, "Don't be afraid." And I was like, "Oh my god, that was just heart wrenching right there." I mean, you think your heart is actually ripped out and already done there. Not yet. There's
yeah.
still more. There's still more. Do you want to finish it out? Why don't you finish it
Okay,
out?
so like you said, after we see the blast that alludes to Magneto and Morlock, such as Leech, dying, then Rogue is furious, and she goes to charge at the Sentinel. Like I said, it was called like maybe Godzilla Sentinel. Looking up online, they said, "Oh, it's like the Wild Sentinel." So
Mm,
either
okay.
way, like yeah, it never said Wild Sentinel in the episode,
Yeah, right. Right.
but so Rogue is going at this three-headed beetle, horrible Sentinel,
Mm,
and then Gambit he gets on a motorcycle and he uses his blast to blast her away from it to save her life because it was going to blast her, and then Gambit goes after the Wild Sentinel himself, and then here's oh man, my poor boy Remy
mm,
LeBoot. Not it, he had his heart broken throughout multiple episodes, and then as he's going at it, he gets stabbed at the side from the huge sentinel, and it's like, oh my gosh, how is he gonna live through this?
yeah.
And then
Hmm.
Gambit uses his power and he absorbs, and he did it to get close to the sentinel. And
Yeah.
then he even says, the words, the name's Gambit, one of me, remember it. And it blows up the sentinel. He stops the
Hmm.
attack, but also it blows him up.
Sacrifices himself. Yeah.
He
Hmm.
sacrificed himself yet to save all of the people, the mutants, everyone who's left in
Left.
Genosha. And then
Hmm.
Rogue, everyone is looking around, and Rogue is holding Gambit, and she says, I can't feel you anymore.
Yeah.
And then it ends,
And it ends.
leaving us with
And
broken hearts. Man,
oh
if
my gosh.
Magneto wasn't enough, then we also have Gambit on top of
And,
it,
and Leech and
and
him protecting Leech at the
poor
same time.
Leech.
Yep.
Because even
Oh,
he
and
Leech said early in the episode, he's like, "Don't worry, Magneto." I thought there was an interesting part too, when he said, "Don't worry, Magneto will save us." And
yeah.
oh man, how am I forgetting that? One of the Morlocks even says, she says, "When have
The
the
X Men
X Men
don't
ever
care about
cared
it.
for us?" But then
Yeah.
Gambit did come through, and they did save
Right.
them. So
Tried to anyhow, but they
yeah.
mistakenly
Hopefully,
clicked around.
Mask died though. I hate Mask. Hopefully, he's dead.
Please
I
don't.
hate him.
So let me just add on a little bit more onto that. After that, and you see the closeout fade, the credits. Even the end music was that somber version of the X title,
Oh yeah.
and that was just like pouring salt on the wound, man. It was just like, oh, crazy.
Ugh.
Yeah. So Yep. And if you will listen to one more thing is when Gambit is actually jumping up to hit the Sentinel. It looks like he's gonna. He has a staff. It's charged. It looks like he's gonna like stab the Sentinel, and that's when the staff Sentinel hits him. But as he's doing that maneuver and he's doing the flips and spins, and he's about to say that he says he goes like the house, house cards are always in my favor, that type of thing. It's because the
Yeah.
cards are always in my favor, that type of thing. I just love that line. It was a great line to have there. And then he gets the into the
Uh,
side, and then you get to see like he's like you know mutant threat neutralized, and you just see like this his face, and you can see him smile. And
yeah, that's
then
when he
you
says
see
the
the
words.
charge
Yep.
happening, and as the charge goes through the whole Sentinel now. It's not just the arm, but it goes
You
through the
see
whole
the
Sentinel. You see
eyes
the
and
eye up,
everything. Yes.
everything lights up on the Sentinel, and it's crazy, like it's following electricity patterns, right? And it looks like a big, grid type of thing. And he's like, "The name is Gambit. Let me remember it." And then the explosion happens. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I was so
oh
excited. I was
god,
rooting for when I saw like the Sentinel's face lighting up. I was like, "Oh, Gambit got it," but then it was also like, "Oh no, it's gonna blow up. How can he live through it?" Oh,
right?
but man, what an episode! What an
Oh,
event of an episode! And when I looked up, I saw that Bo DeMaio, who created the show, he
hmm
even said that episode 5 was the main thing. And back in November 2020, that the main thing he pitched to get this series was episode 5 was about this
hmm
episode. And he
right,
did say, because I mean now we don't truly know what could happen. Hey, there's many possibilities of what could happen. Especially me as being big fans of Gambit and Magneto and Leech. They said leave Mask dead, but but have
leave
but we
Mastic.
want Gambit, Magneto, Leech, Callisto can come back too. We want them back, but
Yep,
there's many possibilities. Cable, I
yep.
was like,
So that's what
maybe
I was going to
Cable can
say.
go back, maybe
Yep,
Bishop, maybe even to Krakoa.
yep.
But Bo DeMaio was saying that this episode, he said it's like real life. That back then it was mostly dealing with okay, racism is wrong. And he said
Yeah.
nowadays life has changed with events like 9/11 and Tulsa and Charlottesville. And he said that Pulse was the nightclub that he had partied at and was
hmm
massacred. So he said that with all those events, he wanted the X-Men to deal with something like that. Not everybody's story gets to finish, and you get to have this. That sometimes with all these horrible events in life, everybody's going through something. Everybody has a life. We
True.
all have our stories. I have a story. You have a story. Everybody watching, we all have our stories and our lives we're living. And when these massacres happen, so many people's lives are just completely cut off and they end.
Yeah.
So
hmm
with Bo saying that, it does make me wonder, like, are they going to leave everyone dead? I hope not.
Yeah.
It can't be.
So
Can't be it.
theories. You think Cable or even Bishop? I was talking to our resident in-house artist Dan the Man Kelly. You can always check him out on Codex Station with us as well. He did the review of the other episodes where that one week that you couldn't with me. Um, he was thinking that when Cable was talking, if you listen to him, he said, "Oh no, not again," because he was trying to evacuate people as he's running up, and that's when he
Hmm.
sees Madeline Pryor, and then you could almost say like he was trying to warn them, like he didn't get back in time far enough to warn them. The buy slide zaps him out, so maybe he'll try again to come back, but then at an earlier point to stop him or clear him out or something like that. So maybe I don't know.
Come on, Cable. Come on.
We're rolling the dice on Cable, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're feeling that's going to happen. But like you said, because what of the director or that what was his name again? I'm
Bo
sorry,
DeMaio.
Bodemayo. I'm sorry, Bodemayo said we may actually see this stretch out a couple of episodes before it gets changed. I think
Yeah,
because they
like
can't be killing off Magneto. They can't be killing off Gambit. They can't be killing off. Well, they could kill off the Morlocks. So
they're always just getting the short end of the stick. But yeah,
they always
I get
get the
what you
short end
mean.
stick.
Gambit and
No,
Magneto are
that's
too
being mean.
big.
Yeah.
It's Justin, come on, look at this. Look at all these characters. We can't just have too many of them dead already. We can't have Magneto and Gambit and wait, no, Storm is gone for the moment.
Yep, it's a depowered storm as well. Yep.
Come on,
That's
X Men
just
are
crazy.
taking a beating.
Unless we're gonna get like 75 episodes, I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna change it with the time fix for Cable. That's my
Yeah,
thought. But I still think it's gonna be a couple more episodes down because I think they might do a life death episode as well. But they may do something else with it if they're doing like the half like they did with Motendo and Life Death. They may do a Life Death and something else.
I
And then
think
the
that's my
following,
guess.
Yeah, and then the following week we may see something or more of the tragedy, how they're dealing with it type situation.
Yeah.
That's my thought. All
And
right, let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and
let's give
review
these
this sucker
rate.
then.
Yeah, let's give our ratings before we give even more predictions on it.
Yes.
So, Sale, I mean, this is truly an event of an episode. It is a must see. I'm even seeing
Mm-hmm.
other things that don't even deal with comic books saying this is one of the best just events, one of the best things Marvel has ever done ever.
Yep.
And man, this is truly when I was thinking like, okay, it's the show started off super good, and like I said, the last episode, Motendo slash Life to the Part. Well, I'm like, okay, it's pretty, it's good. I enjoyed it,
I
but
did too.
I'm
Hmm.
like, like didn't feel like an event like where this
And
one
that,
is again
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, again. And like I said, as soon as the episode was going good, I'm enjoying it, I'm enjoying the story. But then once Cable comes, it's oh my gosh,
Uh-huh.
so much craziness to this one. As much
Mm-hmm.
as my heart was broken, this is truly an incredible episode. Many years from now, when people are talking about X-Men 97, they're going to talk about
This
Remember It.
episode. Yep. They are.
I give X-Men 97, episode 5 from Remember It, 10 out of 10 with a broken heart.
Yes. Yes.
And how
Okay.
about you?
Well, I'm gonna have to agree with you 1,000%. It's a 10 out of 10, folks. You are absolutely right. When 10 years down the line, when people are talking about, hey, do you remember the X-Men 97 cartoon? This is going to be the episode that people are going to say, do you remember that episode where Gambit did this, blah, blah, blah. And, we thought they were dead, that type of thing, or, they killed them off. I can't believe they did that type of situation. Yeah,
Definitely is an episode to remember. Yeah.
this is an episode to remember. It is one for the books. If I could give it higher than 10, I would.
Same.
Definitely. Most definitely. All
Oh
right,
yeah. A-
folks.
Any more predictions?
Oh, I don't even want to do any more predictions because I can't even fathom it. I can't even fathom it. I think Cable's going to come back at an earlier point and at least save more people. So we'll save the main characters and some Warlocks too. We'll save some of
Okay,
them.
maybe
All right,
Leech. Leech.
maybe Leech. All right, poor kid.
Uh, but the there was a little bit of a teaser that came out. Marvel
Oh
released showing
yes,
little bits of that could be into the future of
yep.
what's going. Yeah, for the second half because we are halfway through the series now, through the
Right.
season, and in one of them I saw Nightcrawler with a sword. I
Yep.
think right now we're going to see some of the other characters from the X Men get a bigger push. I think Nightcrawler. We may see Nightcrawler join the team. Is
Yep.
I love Wolverine, right? If you couldn't
Yep.
tell, I have a painting of him right there.
I think you've got a slab too.
Oh yes, I do. I'd have to do a little more reaching to grab it. But hey, I have a slab of Wolverine and a slab with the Goblin Queen, thanks to the
Yes.
slab guy himself.
Oh, imagine that. Imagine that.
I think we're gonna see a bigger, more Wolverine because I
Hmm.
love Wolverine, but when you think about it, he hasn't had any full episodes like Wolverine was the main character. I think now we're gonna see a bit more of Wolverine.
Hmm.
I think what's going to go on with Jean. Maybe it'd be nice to see if some other X characters start to get more spotlight. Like maybe Colossus. It would be nice if Colossus said, "Hey, I'll join. I'll help out."
Yeah.
Maybe Psylocke, Archangel. There's
Yeah.
many possibilities, but yes, I am hoping. Many of us are hoping that many of us with hearts are hoping that Cable
So
will go back and he could save Magneto and Gambit. And I think it'd be nice to see Professor Charles Xavier. Maybe with everything going on, maybe from space with the Imperial Guard, maybe Lalandra has been able to help out Xavier and he can say, okay, it's my time. I need to
Mhm.
return to Earth. So many
Right.
possibilities, Sal.
So many possibilities. I don't know. My heart's too ripped apart right now and shredded, stomped on the floor, everything. Thinking about it. I'm gonna
Is it
stick with
Wednesday,
the
3
Cable.
a.m. yet?
Yeah, I know. Is it Wednesday 3 a.m.? I'm gonna stick with the Cable prediction, but I think it's gonna be at least a couple episodes down the road before they change anything.
I could definitely see that being
Right?
true. Oh,
Okay,
man.
then let's go ahead and wrap up this show, and then we will be back to you guys next week after the next episode. Hopefully, Sonny, you'll be able to join me for that because I
Looking
like
forward
reviewing
to
with
it.
you. You're a great
Thank
guy
you.
reviewing. Thank you. So, thank you very much. I'm your host, Sal the Slab Guy. This guy over here is Sonny Kruger, the host of the podcast himself. And we will catch you guys next week, next time.
Next time, a Codex station, remember it.
Remember it.